Welcome to Everything Black. This is Frank. I'm here, tired as usual, but I saw, I try to bring stuff to y'all to kind of, reach out to our spirits sometime, to reach out to the reason why all of us are here. In my beliefs, that in history very seldom talk about extraordinary Black people that was here in the past that made some significant things that we all need to think about. They killed a lot of people that we really needed to hear from. We needed to get their info from them. We needed answers. And there was people who I believe who have been born on this planet that can give us answers that we really need so that we don't be confused by what we have been born in with, white supremacy. A lot of people don't like me to use that term, but I do use that term because that's what we're dealing with. We've been enslaved in this thing since birth, since the beginning of our existence. So I just wanted to sometimes take us back in the time and learn about different people who was here, who could have really gave us information that we needed, that we don't have today. There was such a person named Samuel Carter. And hopefully after I do this video, either now or in the future, people will come back to this and say, the Black children that are born in the future may be one of these people. Maybe this Samuel Carter will come back. Because according to him, spirits are held inside of our bodies. It's just a house that we all live in, according to Samuel Carter. According to him, this body is just a house, a place for our spirits. And some people's spirits are taken out their houses early by outside forces. This one particular person had my curiosity, so I wanted to share this with you. Some of the things that were said about it. So hopefully you guys will pay attention. And it's scary stuff. Right there. Let me play this heartbeat again. Let me know if y'all can. I got it turned all the way up. Anyway, I'm gonna give a drum roll. This show. I know that can sound kind of like dull, but now let's just get started. Now I got y'all attention, right? Y'all like the beat? Before I get started, you need tickets. GoldenTickets.com for any concert, any sporting event. If you want to take a trip, go to frankland.inteltravel.com. Go on there and book your flight, rent a car, whatever you need to do on the trip before you take the trip. I'm going to do all that. you need to get into my shopping club, you're gonna have to go to mymetal.com to get y'all some nice products for the house, personal care. You want a steak in there, I'll be putting those up periodically on the show. But anyway, let's get started.
Weighted with salt from the harbor, and something heavier, something unspoken. Charleston was a city of elegant townhouses with wrought iron balconies, where wealthy merchants and planters displayed their prosperity. A city where silence was currency, where certain truths were buried beneath politeness and protocol, where the machinery of slavery hummed elevated appearances and brutal realities. There existed a social order as rigid as iron. Free black people navigated a precarious existence, always one false step from disaster. Enslaved people moved through the city like shadows. Their intelligence and humanity practically denied by a legal and social structure.
My internet don't do that until the guys say the main things a person need to hear. Anyway, Samuel Carter was a slave child. His mom had him doing slavery, and him and his dad was killed when he was, I think before he was born, and his mom kept him up until, one story says she died. He spoke of her death before she died, and about, like, I think before the summer was up, or the winter, or the spring. Anyway, they're gonna talk about it, but this kid, Samuel Carter, is very strange, and he's needed today like he was needed back then. But like I say, the white supremacists didn't want this kid to be nothing. Get started. I'm gonna move it.
Designed to extract labor while crushing hope. White society, particularly the planter class, safe, not in a world that required black people to be intellectually inferior to justify their bondage. The first signs of what was to come appeared in the winter of 1856, when Samuel was 4 years old. Mrs. Eleanor Whitmore, the plantation owner's wife, noticed the boy standing motionless in the library doorway, his eyes tracking the words in a book her son was reading aloud for his tutor. She said nothing at first, but in her private journal discovered in 1923 among estate papers donated to the South Carolina Historical Society, she wrote, "I observed the Carter boy today in a posture of attention that disturbed me. His eyes moved with the reading. It seemed almost as though he comprehended. I must be imagining things. The heat affects my judgment." By 87, the signs could no longer be ignored. Samuel's mother Ruth found him one morning in the plantation schoolhouse, a building where enslaved children were forbidden from entering. He had let himself in before dawn and was sitting at a desk, writing, not copying, writing, original sentences, mathematical equations. Ruth's panic was immediate and absolute. She pulled him out, destroyed the papers, and begged him never to reveal what he could do. But it was already too late. James Whitmore, the plantation owner, had been watching. Whitmore was not merely a planter, he was a man of intellectual pretensions, a subscriber to scientific journals, a member of the Charleston Natural.
I'm gonna skip this up some, but this young child was already reading, writing, forming sentences, doing all the things that most enslaved people couldn't do. They did not want Black people to learn how to read or write back then. And for somebody who would just come in there and just start doing that was shocking to all who knew about it. And this kid knew everything about it. So I'm gonna speed it up so y'all can see some of the things he predicted.
And Samuel Morton, men who use skull measurements and genuine intelligence or merely an aberration. I believe such a study could yield valuable insights into the nature of the African mind. Dr. Ashford arrived at the Whitmore plantation on the 30th of March, 1857. He brought with him measuring instruments, phrenological calipers, notebooks, and a profound conviction that science would confirm what society already believed. The examination of Samuel Carter began. The documents that survive from this period are chilling in their clinical detachment. Dr. Ashford's notes, preserved in the archives of the Medical University, absorbed everything. He taught himself the basics of Latin grammar in 3 weeks. He solved problems in Euclidean
terrible in him. Nine on that is terrible.
Wrote in May 1857 that this child represents an extraordinary exception, a biological anomaly that does not contradict the general rule of Negro intellectual inferiority. Just as one might find an unusually large or strong specimen in any inferior breed, one might occasionally encounter an African with cognitive capacities exceeding the normal range of his race. This does not invalidate the scientific consensus regarding racial hierarchies. But the explanation satisfied no one, least of all Ashford himself. By the summer of 1857, word of Samuel Carter had begun to spread through Charleston's scientific and academic circles. The case became a subject of heated debate. Some argued that Samuel proved the abolitionists correct, that enslaved people possessed the same intellectual potential as whites, and that slavery was therefore morally indefensible.
So as you can see, for a long time, they thought that Black people were just property, like animals. And this young man, Samuel Carter, proved them wrong. It would not only just prove them wrong, he was taking their own science, their own mathematicals, their own reading material, and transforming it. Hell, some of the stuff he was rewriting that they would come up with. This kid was very, very smart. And what about 4, 5, some say 6 years old at the time. To white supremacists, this child was dangerous. They was afraid of him. He was very intelligent. I'm trying to get to the part where he predicted deaths.
He was separated from his mother for increasingly long periods. He spent his day is being examined and tested in the few documents where Samuel's own voice questioned formalities to survive. Question: what is the nature of virtue? Response: virtue is the habit of right action, cultivated through reason and practice, as Aristotle describes in his Ethics. Question: can an African possess virtue? Response: long paused by Amina. I believe that virtue is a quality of the soul, sir, and does not depend upon the body's form. The examinations took on a darker character in late 1857. Dr. Ashford began to theorize that Samuel's intelligence might be pathological, a deformity of the brain rather than a gift. He proposed invasive examinations. He spoke of the possibility of dissection after death. These proposals appear in letters exchanged between Ashford and colleagues.
Look like I picked the wrong. Look like I picked the wrong video because I don't have none of that in my notes that I chose earlier. So let me find the right video here. There were several videos out that I was intending on showing, but for some reason my computer seemed like I clicked the wrong video. Let's find the one that I was on earlier where I can time stamp this stuff. If this one is not time stamped, that's the wrong one too. Yeah, bear with me for a minute. I'm gonna get through those that video real quick because I'm about to run out of time here. Trying to find the one I was on. This might be it. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me just time. No, that's not it. I don't see the timestamps on the ones I was on. Let me find it. 3 videos. They just want to show one right now. See here. Yeah, this the one.
Carter. He saw what I was the moment we met. I spent my whole life believing I was using my gift wisely, making the best of an ugly world. But
okay, this is the one I was supposed to be on, yeah. All right, let's get to it. I only got like 10, 20 more minutes on this. This is the one that I wanted everybody to see. So let's get back. I know what most of this timestamps are. The first. The first one I want to talk about was around timestamp. Let's go to 5. Right around here.
began to fear the child. There was something in his eyes. Someone's so young. He would stare at people with an intensity that made them uncomfortable. as if he could see through their skin and into their souls. Old Jeremiah, who had been
Come on, don't start all this chopping.
sight, Jeremiah warned. He know things that ain't meant to be known by folks still walking this earth. Robert Whitmore noticed Samuel's strangeness as well, but his concern was different. The boy was too smart, too observant, too articulate for a slave child who had never been caught him drawing in the dirt. Not childish scribbles, but detailed anatomical sketches of the human heart, with labels written in careful script. "Where did you learn to write, boy?" Whitmore demanded, his voice sharp with suspicion and anger. Samuel looked up at him with those dark, unblinking eyes and said simply, "The voices teach me. They show me things in my mind that I draw in the dirt. They say the body is just a house, and when the house breaks, the person inside has to leave. This..."
So you see right here, was talking about how the body is just a house for the soul. And when the soul breaks, the person has to leave. So that lets you know that regardless to what we've been taught, that we're pretty much just spirits out there. That every now and then we get to come back through a body, which is a house, to a spirit or a soul. And that's kind of making it real strange for what we've been taught in the Bible. Even though this kind of stuff is talked about, you really never hear about it. You never hear like people who may be considered very intelligent or whatever. You never hear them talk about Jesus in the Bible. That kind of lets you know that all that stuff is obsolete. Because if this kid was born in the 1800s and he never mentioned nothing about Jesus, and even the people that was questioning him never talked about Jesus, apparently they knew that none of that stuff was real. So if they would have asked him direct questions about heaven and hell, he would have said so, because the souls that was talking through him, or spirits that was talking through him, or in his ear, never mentioned heaven or hell. They mentioned trying to come back or avenge the people who killed them, or give him knowledge of the whole human body and the society that he lived in. They didn't talk about white supremacy through him, which begs the question is, who is telling this story? Are they leaving out certain things that maybe they did ask him that they don't want us to know to this day? If they leave out certain things on purpose? Because here we are, we have a intelligent human being at 5, 6 years old, 4 years old, drawing a picture of a heart and telling you everything about it. To go through your whole human body and tell you everything about that body. But yet, nobody seemed to be questioning, or if they did question about Jesus, heaven, hell, the things that humans really want to know about. I mean, we really want to know about our bodies, true enough, but we really want to know about heaven and hell. Is that true? They had this intelligent being right here that they could have asked all kind of questions, which I'm sure they did, but they're leaving it out because they don't want us to know the truth about all the crap they've been teaching us. That's not even a fact. Things that we believe in, that's not even a question. See, I think they leave that out because they know most of that shit ain't true. Because if it was, that would probably be the first question they would ask him, being that he's very intelligent. So I'm going to go on to around 14. We'll go to 1050. I had something marked there.
Fear, and an overwhelming sense that this child needed protection from a world that would destroy him if given the chance. "What is your name?" Dr. Monroe asked when Samuel was brought to her home, the sheriff, who was relieved to have someone willing to take responsibility for the boy. Samuel looked at her with that intense, unblinking gaze and said, "Samuel Carter. My mama named me Samuel because it means God has heard. She said I was born to hear things that others couldn't hear, to know things that others didn't know." The voices started talking to me before I could talk back to them. Trained in the rational methods of scientific.
That reminded me, it was a movie out years ago, I'm going to say about 10, 15 years ago, about a kid who could see dead people. I bet you 100% they stole that story from Samuel. Remember that Bruce Willis was in that movie? Years ago, that little kid could see dead people. See, they know about stuff that we don't know about. And the kid in that movie, I don't think he ever mentioned, and I'm going to go back and watch it again. I don't think he ever mentioned Jesus. Why those people the dead people didn't go to hell or heaven. Those are the things that we need to know. And when you have somebody like this intelligent, or that child that intelligent, would be able to explain where people go when they die, or why death comes for these certain people. But he was saying that most of those people most of the people that he talked about that was being killed, that he told their future, was mostly pedophiles and white supremacist slave masters, and slave capturers, people who went out and captured slaves. He talks about at least 9 deaths that he predicted. And the first one was, a lot of people say, was his mother, which was Ruth. Well, it was one before his mother. This guy I think he killed two little boys and a little girl. This slave master. And it was rumored that a lot of kids was coming up missing. And he predicted those type people deaths. And soon after he tell them, it may be a couple of days later, the ancestors would come get them. Or he called them the people from the swamp. Trying to find one of these deaths so y'all can hear him predict it. Give me 1 second. I think it was at first stamp I had was at 15, somewhere up in here.
Explanation for abilities that seemed to defy natural law. Samuel's answer was always the same. The voices tell me. They come from the swamp, from the place where the dead go but don't rest. They're people who died with unfinished business, with truths that need to be told. They use me to speak because I was born with the ability to hear them. My mama said it runs in our family. My grandmother had it and her mother before her. It's a gift and a curse, Dr. Monroe. I know things I don't want to know. I see things I wish I couldn't see. The first death that occurred after Samuel came to live with Dr. Monroe happened in September of 1856. Marcus Thornton, a wealthy plantation owner from a neighboring parish, came to Marrow Creek for business and stopped by Dr. Monroe's home to consult about persistent stomach pains. Samuel was in the house when Thornton arrived, and the boy's reaction was immediate and visceral. He backed away from the man, his dark eyes wide with something that looked like recognition and horror combined. "You shouldn't be here," Samuel said, his voice carrying an authority that seemed impossible coming from such a small child. "The voices are screaming about you. They say you killed 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. They say you buried them where no one would look, in the old cemetery. They say, and their mothers still search for them." Marcus Thornton's face went white, then red with rage. "How dare this me this way?" he shouted it.
So again, you can see that this child could predict the future. He could see the illness inside of a person. You could tell if you had cancer, if you had any illness inside your body, any diseases. He could tell you what it is and the name of it. Then he could tell you your future, how that you wouldn't live that long. One person, he told him right after he went out the door, the ancestors or the swamp people went after him. Y'all heard he had killed 3 kids. And their mom still was looking for them to this day. She didn't know that the slave master had killed them. So it was another one that he predicted, also a preacher. And it was somewhere around here.
Purchase supplies. The Reverend approached them with his characteristic smile, the one that never quite reached his eyes. "Dr. Monroe," he said warmly, "I see you've taken in young Samuel. What a charitable act, though I must caution you about the dangers of educating these people beyond their station. God has ordained their place in society." Samuel looked up at the Reverend with those dark, penetrating eyes and said, "You don't believe in God. The voices say you stopped believing years ago. After you sold a woman and her baby to different rooms every night. They sink yourself to sleep trying to forget, but you never can. They say your time is coming soon, and you'll have to face all the people you hurt.
So at this point, he did mention God. He told him he didn't believe in God. And this was a preacher. How many else know preachers? How many of us really know that they don't even believe in what they're teaching you? But, time and time again, we'll go to church and believe this preacher is acting on behalf of God. It's so sad. And sometimes these preachers be the worst. He killed and delivered so many families stole the children, sold the mother, sold the kids, sold the father. Everybody going in different directions. And according to him, these people, these children that died, these people that died based off of what he did, they came to get him. He told him that his time is up. And they came after him. And that wasn't the only person. Gonna move on. Up a little bit. Think about right here.
In a silent scream, Samuel had encountered her at the market and had said quietly, "She poisons the food when people don't cooperate." The voices showed me 3 women who died because they refused to stop crying for their children. She'll die by poison too, not from anyone's hand, but from the fear that eats her alive from the inside. Each death was technically explainable through natural causes or accidents, but the pattern was unmistakable to anyone paying attention. Samuel Carter knew things he shouldn't know. He predicted deaths with uncanny accuracy. And the people who died were invariably those who had committed terrible acts, particularly acts of cruelty toward enslaved people. It was as if Samuel served as a conduit for some form of cosmic justice, a vessel through which the accumulated suffering and rage of his people found voice and retribution. Dr. Monroe's journals from this period.
There you see he talks about a lady who was poisoning people. She poisoned 3 women because they refused to stop crying because they had took away their children. This is very sad, but they basically talking about the deaths he predicted, the revenge deaths of the enslaved people. And this is a child that the white supremacists feared. He was so powerful and so intelligent. His power was by the things he told them that they didn't know. That was his power, and they was afraid of that. And they was wondering how many more black people is like this. Because they thought that black people were dumb. They thought black people couldn't read, couldn't learn how to read, couldn't comprehend. Just like they have most of our kids today, they think they can't do this and they think they can't do that. But they are, once they are taught, they are excellent with whatever they try to do. They are precise in their learning. So these people have always tried to keep us from learning anything. And along the way, they have stopped a lot of people from learning, from getting knowledge, from receiving knowledge. Because once a black person receives the knowledge he needs or she needs, it's on. Can't stop us. And this child, Samuel Carter, proves that. And he frightens so many people, especially white. So let's get to 34. Let's see what happened here.
He thought he knew about his gifts and their purpose. This man was different from the others Samuel had met. He didn't carry the same guilt or evil that had marked the previous victims. His name was Benjamin Cole, and he was a slave trader who had recently arrived in Marrow Creek with a cargo of 20 enslaved people he intended to sell at auction. But Benjamin Cole was also dying, slowly and painfully, of a cancer that was eating away at his insides. Samuel met Cole at Dr. Monroe's home. The trader came seeking medical treatment for his mysterious ailment. The moment Samuel saw him, the voices erupted in a cacophony unlike anything he had experienced before. They weren't condemning Cole or calling for his death. Instead, they were screaming a warning. "He's like you," they whispered urgently. "He has the gift too, but he uses it differently. He uses it to find the weakest, the most vulnerable, the ones who will bring the highest price. He can see into people's souls, but he uses that vision for profit and cruelty. He's what you could become if you choose the wrong path." Dr. Monroe noticed Samuel's distress immediately. The boy had gone pale, his entire body trembling as if he were in the grip of a fever. "Samuel, what's wrong?" she asked, concerned. Samuel couldn't answer. His mind was overwhelmed with the realization that he was not unique, that the gift he possessed could exist in others, could be used for purposes that perverted its original meaning. Benjamin.
So just think about that. This gift that he had is in other people. Now this person that had this gift like him was white. Not only that, he used his gift to catch and enslave black people to sell. That was his job. And he ran across Samuel. He ran across him. And Samuel at this point was shocked that it was somebody like him that was another color. Not only that, he possessed his gift. But Samuel had some information for him, and y'all check it out.
Cole had been born with the same ability to see beyond the surface, to know things about people that were hidden from normal observation. But instead of using that gift to bring justice or truth, Cole had weaponized it to perfect, to exploit, what prices to demand, what lies to tell to maximize his profit. Benjamin Cole looked at Samuel with eyes that held a terrible recognition. "Well, well," he said softly, his voice carrying a mixture of surprise and dark amusement. "I've heard the stories about you, boy. The child who knows things he shouldn't know, who predicts deaths and speaks truths that frighten good Christian folk. Of all the pretty lies people tell themselves." Samuel found his voice, though it came out hoarse and strained. "I'm nothing like you," he said. "The voices told me what you do. You take people who are already broken and you break them further. You look into their souls and find the exact words that will make them give up to be not supposed to be anything. It just is. You use it your way, passing judgment on people you've decided are evil, letting your voices whisper their condemnations until those people die in convenient accidents. I use it my way, making a living in a world that doesn't care about should or shouldn't, only about what works and what doesn't. Don't pretend you're better than me just because you've convinced yourself you're on the side of righteousness." Was Cole right? Was his gift merely a tool that could be used for any purpose, good or evil, depending on the wielder's intentions? Were the voices that guided him true?
But Samuel do predict his death, and I think after this doctor that he stayed with, Miss Monroe, felt like he predicted the wrong person's death, so she had to finally get help him escape. Send him through the Underground Railroad at that time. And this kid also, before I end the program, he also predicted the Civil War between the Southern Union and the Civil War that they had here a while back in 1800 when Lincoln, signed the Emancipation Proclamation so that, the blacks would be free. Because he knew without, like in every war, without black people, y'all done for. America wouldn't even be America if it weren't for black soldiers. Black people fighting in wars for America. We built it, we fought for it, and now we still try to get paid for it. Still haven't got paid for it, but we will. It's coming. Foundation Black Americans will be paid for our foundation building through our lineage on our people who died during the time and before the time Samuel Carter was born. So Samuel Carter eventually got free. Several writings from different people during his time said that they would spot him talking to the dead. And the dead he would be writing down what the dead told him about who killed him. And then they would come back and avenge the deaths of those people that killed him. He would eventually talk to soldiers after they had died. Traveling back, getting messages to their families about what they wanted to tell family members that they couldn't tell them because they was on the battlefield. So according to history, as he became a man, several people said that all they knew him from is the name Samuel, or S. He left them to understand that he was still predicting deaths for people. But according to other videos that's on him, he did a lot more. He was helping scientists understand science, mathematical problems he was solving, showing them how to solve mathematical problems. Anything that was dealing with science that they didn't understand, he was trying to break it down, and at some point he was dealing more and a lot with death. People who was looking for loved ones, or people who died who wanted to get their information back to loved ones. So Samuel was one of a kind. I thank y'all for joining me tonight. Hope to see y'all again. I want to bring y'all more information about people in the past who made a significant, gave us significant information, and did a great job representing us. Thank you, Samuel. Thank y'all for joining me. Appreciate it. We'll see on another Everything Black video. Y'all have a good night.